Live. News 8 at 5 starts now.
Tonight, an illegal immigrant charged with a woman's murder in Norwich has his conviction overturned. Also, Fotis Dulos, a no-show for the second time in civil court, as we hear from his outspoken attorney once again. Also, a Pan Am train runs off the rails in Bristol, and it's not the first time there has been trouble on the tracks for that company. We have all those top stories coming up, but we begin first with breaking news. Ann.
All right, thanks so much. A big bust in the Elm City. More than 24 arrested in a months-long investigation into murders and gun violence in New Haven. The operation, dubbed Fantasy Island, targeting a gang once called the Island Brothers. News 8's Mario Boone is live in New Haven with more on the crackdown. Mario.
Well, and as you said, it's called Operation Fantasy Island, but the charges are very real, and so is the prison time that these suspects now face. We want to show you some video because today the FBI's Safe Street Task Force, along with the New Haven Police, announcing more than 24 suspects taken down, believed to be part of the so-called Island Brothers gang, now locked up here in New Haven as part of this long-running investigation. They're accused of pumping crack cocaine, heroin, and cocaine across Connecticut and Massachusetts. Now, investigators tell us the suspects are responsible for multiple shootings, multiple murders across New Haven, but they do not give specifics about which cases local cops are tying these people to. Now, police here tell us they do know most of these suspects taken down today. They tell us that these suspects are well known to officers from previous arrests. Now, I did ask Chief Tony Reyes today if this bust will make the streets of New Haven safer. Take a listen.
We want to send a message. We want to send a message that if you engage in gun violence, we're going to come after you with every resource that we have available to us. I want to reaffirm to the citizens of New Haven that we are not tolerating this, that every resource we have to bear will be used and leveraged to keep the city safe.
Now, we are still working multiple angles of this story. Next at 6, we talked to some residents in one of these neighborhoods that police say the suspects here focused much of their efforts peddling dope and violence. We'll tell you what those residents have to say about this bust, and it might surprise you. That part of the story next at 6. We are live from New Haven Police Headquarters tonight. I'm Mario Boone, News 8.
And this breaking news, the state Supreme Court has overturned the murder conviction of an illegal Haitian immigrant who killed a Norwich woman in 2015.
Jean Jacques is serving a 60-year sentence for the murder of 25-year-old Casey Chadwick. She was stabbed to death in her Norwich apartment and stuffed in a closet. The feds tried to deport Jacques 3 times, but Haiti wouldn't take him back. The appeal centered on whether Norwich police needed a warrant to get into Jacques' apartment 5 days after his lease expired. They only had consent from the landlord. Jacques was never evicted. Jacques argued the warrantless search violated his Fourth Amendment rights.
A big mess to clean up in Bristol after a Pan Am train toppled off the tracks. And one of our drones was flying high above the Freightliner that tipped off the rails near Main Street. It's not the first time this has happened on this line. News 8's Noelle Gardner has been at the scene today. She joins us live. Noelle.
And a big mess is right. Eversource was here. They cut off the power to that line. Now look behind me, a new track. They're putting a new track in the area of the train derailment, and they're going to use a crane to lift the cars on the new track. This process, the deputy fire chief tells me, it could take up to 3 to 5 days.
It's kind of a little bit scary.
The Pan Am train derailment happened after 4:30 this morning between Hooker Court and Mellon Street. 6 cars heading to Massachusetts derailed from a 7-car train. 5 were loaded with construction debris, and 1 car was carrying scrap metal.
I've never seen anything like that in my life. It's just crazy. You know, from what I hear, the noise was like a bomb dropped or something.
Pan Am says the conductor and engineer are okay.
I'm glad that everybody's safe and that nobody got injured like it happened at a dead end. So nobody was injured.
This is not the first time Pan Am cars derailed on this line in recent years. 3 or 4 locomotives derailed in New Britain along Columbus Boulevard. No one was hurt. It was a similar incident in 2016. A Pan Am train derailed on the same stretch of tracks. The train was carrying hazmat materials. It turned out the cars were overloaded. It took several days to clean up. Pan Am tells us they are investigating, and it will take several days to find out the cause of the derailment.
This is not normal. I don't know what happened, what could have went wrong to be derailed like this. You know, this is not something went really wrong. They got to check, make sure to investigate and see exactly what happened.
And between that derailment, 2 dead ends. So the deputy fire chief tells me traffic and people, they're not going to be impacted by this. I'm live tonight in Bristol. Noel Gardner, News 8.
All right, Noel, thanks. The estranged husband of missing mother Jennifer Dulos, a no-show once again for a deposition in one of his civil cases. Fotis Dulos didn't show up in Hartford Superior Court Tuesday for part of an ongoing legal battle with Jennifer's mother, Gloria Farber. The 85-year-old is suing her son-in-law for money she says is owed to her from a loan for his business. Court documents show this is the second time Dulos did not show up in that case. Now, this comes as his attorney is speaking out about what's to come in his client's criminal case. News 8's Brian Spyros has that.
Fotis Dulos still the prime suspect in connection to the disappearance of his estranged wife. His attorney, Norm Pattis, speaking with Chaz and AJ this morning.
Spouses are always suspects in missing person cases of this sort, and we get it. We're anxious to address this case in open court and by the rules of evidence and procedure, because at that point we win.
Pattis is expected to get a look at the evidence in the case from the state's attorney, such as pictures and the police report.
The description of the scene in the garage is that there was a violent struggle, and that I want to see. I want to see more of. I want to see how violent, obviously it's a matter of grave concern to us, but I have not yet heard that they have a smoking gun, so to speak.
Jennifer Dulos went missing from her New Canaan home on May 24th after dropping her 5 kids off at school. Fotis and his girlfriend Michelle Troconis are accused of dumping trash bags in Hartford that contained Jennifer's blood. Investigators have asked for surveillance video from homes and businesses to help shed some light on what happened. Pattis says he's not aware of anything that shows Fotis leaving his home or Jennifer's.
I know that law enforcement now is focusing on his going out the back of his home in Farmington and potentially entering in the rear of the New Canaan home. We do not have video footage that confirms or denies that.
Jennifer's whereabouts, still a mystery. Pattis asking the public to not make any hasty conclusions about the case until all the facts are on the table.
Once I know a little bit more, we will roll out more of the defense. We have plenty more to say. I know there are lots of questions that people have about things in the case, and we have answers. But like kids at Christmas, everybody's got to wait for us to unwrap the package.
For News 8, I'm Brian Spyros.
The city of New Haven is responding after the arrest of a fire lieutenant and Derby alderman charged in a hit and run in a city EMS vehicle. Louis Oliwa is facing criminal charges after the June crash in Derby. Nobody was hurt, but there was property damage. A spokesman for the city of New Haven says Lieutenant Oliwa was off duty at the time of an alleged traffic infraction for which he was cited, and that he was driving a city of Derby vehicle at the time of the alleged infraction. No word yet if Oliwa's been suspended from either job. The pot of reward money is growing to find out who burned a dog to death in West Haven. This small animal was found Friday in the parking lot of Sandy Point Beach. West Haven police say they've cleared a person of interest in the case. The reward for turning in the suspect is already up to $20,000. The Wilson Gray YMCA in Hartford is closed for the rest of the day after staff got a threatening phone call. The building has been cleared and everybody is safe. All classes and evening programs are canceled. The after camp program is being moved to a different location for parent pickup.
At least 2 families will be sleeping somewhere else tonight after fire gutted their home in Meriden. Flames started shooting from the attic of that house on Bunker Avenue around 3 this morning. It was so intense firefighters had to rip open the roof to get that fire under control.
We had heavy fire in the attic. We performed vertical ventilation, so in order to do that, we were on the roof and cut holes in the roof to draw the fire straight up for us, and off of the firefighters that were fighting fire.
The deputy chief says 1 or 2 firefighters were treated for minor injuries. That fire left heavy damage throughout the attic and water damage on the 2nd floor. The Meriden Fire Marshal is investigating.
The state's first responders will now have expanded benefits to cover post-traumatic stress disorder. Governor Ned Lamont signed a bill today that makes firefighters and police officers eligible for workers' compensation for PTSD. But there are other public safety workers that are not included. Chief Political Correspondent Mark Davis will have more on that coming up at 6. The State Attorney General has a 90-day window to appeal the court ruling allowing Tweed New Haven Airport to expand its runway.
Yesterday, a Second Circuit court ruled in favor of the city, allowing the airport to expand despite a state law preventing it. Today, News 8's Samaya Hernandez has learned that at least 3 airlines are already looking at coming to New Haven if this expansion does move forward. But an appeal is not out of the question.
There are very serious legal issues addressed in the Second Circuit's opinion. The Second Circuit is one of the highest courts in the land.
Samaya will have more on the carriers eyeing Tweed and concerns from the neighbors coming up on News 8 at 6.
Championship glory for the U.S. women's soccer team. We'll give you a front row seat at the victory parade in New York City.
And we have got just one amazing stretch of weather ahead. We'll talk about when you might see a shower, a thunderstorm, and, well, how hot will it be in the 8-day forecast coming up.
Also, a recall for bad hot dog buns, the brands you want to toss before your next barbecue.
And at 6, a case involving Sandy Hook conspiracy theorist Alex Jones is now headed to the Connecticut Supreme Court at 6.